preparing, setting up. So I learned today something. I have to open up. Yeah, I have to open up Zoom. Anyway, okay.
It works.
It works now, finally.
Great.
Brian is not here. I actually kind of expected him here. But maybe he has problems with fires. I don't know. Is he living in that area? I don't know. It's really kind of a wild thing going on with all the wildfires there. In Australia.
Didn't really catch up on that.
Okay. Well, I think we can start then with the three of us. I think if that's all right by everybody.
Yep.
I will share my screen. There's the share button, and that is the. So is this? Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
I can see it.
Great. So we had the last meeting was actually also a small meeting with only Georgie, Christina, and I. We were just discussing actually the task that we are having that in the meeting, and also some open issues that we maybe can assign to others. For now, also a very small, delicate, a lot of people here on the call, but this one was actually a new time, so better for Kenneth as well. I think better than in the evening. And also better for Brian, actually. But I would like to go on the task that we have left from the last time, and this was the last meeting. Georgie is trying to ask Brian to help him, not Brain, but Brian. Sorry. And helping to review. I didn't know if he did that, but we don't know because Brian's not on the call, and also Georgie not because he is having a day off today. And I would like to actually discuss the technical correction today, but also that is really a bit. Maybe Kenneth, do you know something about that or about the technical correction? No, I can't hear you. By the way, you are muted. Still muted. Nope. Nothing happens there. Is it me or is it also Christian that you know?
He's going to check that out. And now he's checking the audio. No, I can't hear Kenneth either.
Okay. Okay. I'll now record name. Mute all, unmute all. Maybe now? Because I have the possibility to mute everybody and unmute all, but that is not the case, I think, here. No.
That's not the issue, apparently.
No, apparently not. Oh. Oh. Nou is hij helemaal weg. All right. Properly logging in. So on television, they have a pause screen for this.
Yeah.
and a music thing on the background. Like elevator music. Yes, we hear.
I hear something.
Yes, finally. Welcome on the call, Kenneth.
Yeah, I tried to connect myself to this external system, but
yeah, well, it was a nice view, by the way.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work perfectly fine.
Well, I haven't looked into the technical correction.
No, I know it's been published now. Because I saw it on the on the HL7 side, and Brian was going to check the impact of this technical correction. I already did it with Michel as well, or we had a kind of some at FHIR. You had some persons also thinking about it. We also created some tasks for us, one for Michel and one for me. But I thought maybe we can have a discussion about that. But if nobody knows about it, then it's a bit stupid to have this discussion. So I think I will carry on with Michel, but that's probably after Dev Days, because we are very busy with the Dev Days coming up next week. So after the Dev Days, at the beginning of December or the last week of November, we will start with that. And hopefully Brian is there as well. Does anybody know, is Brian coming up to the Dev Days as well?
I think he is.
Then we can also meet him in person. That would be also very nice. So
Yeah,
I'm not really
but
sure.
I don't know.
I don't know as well, but what would be nice, then we can have. Are you coming, Kenneth, by the way?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Oh, super. That's
Great.
Great. So good. Then we see each other next week in person.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Well, okay. Then I would skip the technical correction discussion. Maybe go into the remaining task. The second one was about. We skipped that one as well. Then we have the third one, Kenneth. Discuss changes to terminology service interface. You have something?
Yeah, I have my branch up here.
Mm-hmm.
So we could take a look at it.
Yeah.
If you want.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Should I stop sharing and then you can?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. I think I never have shared on this one.
Yeah, I was also for me. I was a bit searching. It's in the middle. It's a green button.
Yeah.
It says share, and then you can select what you want to share. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see something. I see code. That's for sure.
See green code.
Good.
Green code is so it's very environmental friendly. Yeah, we are in Norway now, so yeah. So talk us through.
Yeah. So this is the stuff I did at the what is it called? The VGM we had in May.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I tried to make this as generic as possible by using the parameters class instead of like it was done before. That was what I was trying to look for. A huge set of arguments.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think you a bit up. Oh yeah, that one as well. Validate code. There is also a lot of.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
This for me, this is very hard to read, hard to use. At least personally. So I tried to do it with the parameters instead. I don't think it's going to be. It's more non-trivial perhaps than having the explicit arguments. You would have to look up the documentation to actually know what kind of parameters fits in here. But that's what we have to discuss then. If this is okay, or if we need to do it in some other structured way.
Well, I was thinking because in the other one, you only need the package support, because Codable Concept is now also in support, and you only need that package to run it. But I see also that there is an outcome. An outcome is a POCO class, so that's the same like parameters. So then I don't see any problem there. The only thing is that, yeah, the disadvantage that you're saying, that's you're not really, you have to know the parameter class to see what's going in there, right?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, and you would have to look that up in two places, because one is definition of this operation, but second is documentation about the API or about which parameters are actually supported.
Yep.
Because probably we will not support each and every variety of parameters, because there can be interesting things in here.
Yeah, the thought is also that it's going to be that is going to forward because you have the external terminology service. So this actually forwards another server, like the ontology server or the ontology server from the guys from or something.
Yeah.
That's what I actually tried to do at the VGM. I integrated with them and used the external terminology service class, and then just forwarded it to their class. But then you have the fallback terminology service. And then you have the internal, I think. Yeah.
That is the interface. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the interface. The local terminology service. And that I don't know how to implement. So that was actually something I would talk to Evot or somebody with knowledge of the terminology stuff.
There is already an implementation of local terminology service. So, but it's apparently hard to translate to a new interface.
You have the validate code, I think.
That is the implementation, you think?
That's the only implementation today. But I didn't have time to look into how he did that part. And I'm not very, when it comes to terminology and the terminology service stuff, I'm not well versed in that part. So it was very easy to implement, of course, the external terminology service, because the only thing I had to do was forward it. Fall back to, or then I would use the fallback service, I think. Maybe I didn't. Yeah. So here I'm just forwarding it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the parameters because it allows you the flexibility for in implementation to support as much or little as you want without being restricted on what is on the signature of the method.
Yeah. So if you guys like it, then I can try to finish this stuff up and give you a PR, and then we can look into it in more detail.
Yeah. But indeed, we do definitely need a replacement implementation then for the local terminology service, because the validator depends on it in many cases. It works with the resources in the specification zip.
Yeah, that's good that you mentioned the validation code, because there was something in the back of my head the whole time when I was looking in this code, and there is something going on here. We need also a terminology service in the validation code, and the validation will be completely POCO-less in the new version. And this is not POCO-less anymore if you use parameters and outcome. So that is what I'm. That was the big thing in my head. Was like, what should we do about that then? Because now I have a kind of in the validation code. It's in the 2.0 code, so that's going to be next year going to be released. But now I have a kind of a temporary terminology service, which really doesn't do anything at the moment. But that should be changed as well. So I have something big to do there. But I could not use this one, I think, because that's, again, dependent on the POCO kind of way.
The parameters are in the POCO library?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, outcome as well. So I'm sure that's because outcome is the result of it, I think, somewhere.
There are changes in operation outcome from the STU2 and forward.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
So my plan was to have all these, so not dependent on any POCO or the specification anymore. That was my idea.
Yeah, I agree. It makes it very hard.
I have no idea how to at the moment.
I think there are two ways to do that. One would be to create a class similar to parameters and one to operation outcome in the common base class in the common library.
Yeah.
That would look very much like the R4 one, because that is now normative and then probably needs a bit of translation or mapping or something from the STU3 one.
Yeah.
The other one would be to work with an I-typed element or even iSource node.
Because that is also interesting for Vonk, right?
True,
Mm-hmm.
but that might be a little harder to do.
Yeah. Actually, when I'm thinking about it, it's really not so bad at that moment if we have a kind of a POCO implementation as well. So if we have in the future also like a generic kind of way, and this POCO is implementing that is fine for the end users, and then I can also have an implementation for validation, for example. So that's what we're doing also with the validation at the moment. We try to make it very generic, but we'll attach it or reconnect it with the old stuff from the validation again. So people use validate, still doesn't seem what's happening, but underneath it, it's completely changed. And we can also do that with this code. So I'm not really against this method at the moment, but we have to kind of, yeah.
The interesting. Do you want a separate interface for that as well?
Yeah.
Because the interface is now defined on POCOs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You wouldn't have that, right? Yeah.
Whereas it would be easier if the interface were on common things, like I-typed element or anything, and then you have extension methods.
Yeah, exactly.
In the respective R4 and HTTP3 libraries that implement it on POCOs.
Yeah.
I don't think it always is going to return a resource either. In some cases, I think it returns a parameters class. So it's not yet. But we could look into, what I just think I should do is just try to finish up this part and just make it as a work in progress.
Yeah.
I guess it's for the 2.0 anyways.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's not for the 1.5. Yeah, it would be the 2.0. Yeah, so that is the branch develop SDU3 or branch develop R4.
Yeah. And then we can look into the either the iSource node or the I-typed element stuff.
Yeah.
Or the other approach where we make separate POCOs for it. But at least then we have something to look at and something we can discuss.
Yeah, that would be great. Or yeah, that is good.
From our experience in the Vonk server, we know that it is possible to extract the relevant parameter values from iSource node. Since in the Vonk implementation of this, we extract the parameters from an iSource node, so we don't even type it. And then put that in the current signature of the methods. So that whole list of arguments, we extract that from parameters and then stick it in there. So it is doable to use the source node representation of parameters.
Do you have some kind of signature like this one?
Yeah, in fact, in the end, we call the local terminology server in the API. But our input is not a POCO anymore in Vonk because we have everything abstracted away from POCOs.
Yeah. Right.
To make it less dependent on that, yeah.
So Vonk is now only dependent on the validate code method from the iTerminology service.
No, we have more than that.
Okay,
we have an implementation of other features as well.
Okay.
But the only heads up I wanted to give is that it is possible to extract the relevant values from a source node as well, without having to have a POCO or even a typed element.
Yeah. Okay.
We have also some unit tests for that, right, Christian? Maybe I can just give a snippet or something that you can have a look at, Kenneth.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Just a small things that you have a kind of way how we did that.
Yeah. If you can do that.
I will not give away of Vonk code, but a bit of that parameter thing construction. I think it would be nice that we have that back in the API as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's my to do then. I will do that. I will give you that. Okay.
Should I stop sharing?
Yep. And I will share again this one. Okay, thank you for that. Well, then I have some Brian issues, so I will skip that. Did you have, Kenneth, a meeting with him about the...
Oh, this has been for a long time been
Yeah.
postponed. No, we haven't.
Would be nice if you're both coming to Dev Days to have it there. Maybe if some spare minutes.
Yeah, we could try to discuss it there instead. That would be better.
That would be, yeah.
And I think he's coming. I think he said that
I have
earlier.
the thing, yeah.
At Amsterdam.
Okay.
Is this currently part of the API or?
It was in the API, the web. It was in the web API one in the R4, and we took it out, and then we it's in a different repo now. I think not or in our project. But yeah, it's still for discussion, open for discussion. Yeah.
Brian has worked on.
Yeah. Exactly. The next task is that Georgie was creating an issue that he did on the iBackbone element FHIR type. I have no work on that.
No, maybe we can just post an issue number so people can look into it, what it means.
Yeah, we can do that. I have to find out. I will update this later.
Did you guys see the issue that was opened and closed on the HTTP client factory?
The issue that someone who proposed to have the client, an HTTP client in the FHIR client. Is that what you mean, Kenneth?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he closed it again.
He closed it again.
No, I did not. He did it himself.
He did it himself. So just wondering if...
Yeah, I was maybe too late to respond, but I was really surprised. Yeah, because I found it a good idea. But I wanted to discuss with Georgie how he's doing, because he's working on that. So because we already discussed it and he wants to look at it, but maybe I will reopen it and give it to Georgie as a suggestion to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last remaining tasks that before Ewout went on sabbatical, we asked Brian to help maybe reviewing some Georgie stuff, and they are together reviewing. So I don't know what the status about that.
Will Georgie be at Dev Days?
No, he's not. No. But we have close contact the whole time. This almost every day, and when there's a bug coming in, then I try to assign it to, if it's really simple or not only simple ones, but if it's really quick to solve, then I put it on Georgie's name so that we can have a new release coming out 1.5 soon, I hope. But I want to have the technical correction in there as well, so we have to wait for after Dev Days before that. So anyway, well, talking about issues, maybe we can have a look at the open issues at the moment.
Very good.
Here they are. I remember that last time it was also 134. 34. But in the meantime, I know there are came a lot of issues in, also questions. I try to answer them and close them as well. So, but we are all the same number again. I just want to have it under the 100, but it doesn't go that
yeah.
way. The first issue. This one is about the human readable error codes that we have. We have some error codes, validation error codes in the FHIR API. And to explain them, Bart, our colleague, wants to have kind of a list with all the possible error codes that can occur, and also kind of a readable description about it. All those things are in the code, but not for the end user to understand. So I came up, or I suggested the solution that we do it in the DevOps server, in the build server, that he can extract those error codes and just publish them somewhere so that everybody can reach them. That was the suggestion I had. I think, yeah, on the build server. Not really a very thing that we have to have next week or something, but when we have some time left over, we can do this. Going back, I tried to there. No, it doesn't go like that. Yeah, we had a discussion on Zulip last few times, I think, opened by Michel Martini, about that it's a bit slow, around 100 times slower. I see here. Of the, I think serialization was it about, I think, if I was. Yeah. And
I read up on this morning.
Yeah, me too.
Because there were follow-up on Zulip.
Yeah.
And it's already there. Cache the enums into a string map. Yes, I think that is a very sensible thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also asked Georgie to have a look. It's also on the board. So I also put it on the project on the 1.5 issue. And I think it's a doable issue to do, and doesn't need so much explanation. So yeah, hopefully we can have.
I hinted Michel to file a PR. But...
Yeah, you did this morning, right? Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we can have a wait. We can wait for a while. Maybe he comes up with that. Would be nice.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, actually, why not? So
contributions are very welcome.
That's absolutely right. So well, and George has a lot of other things to do. So it will not be this week that he will be working on it, I think. So maybe we give him this week. Maybe we have a new nice one coming up. But that was a discussion that we had last week on Zulip, I saw. So then the snapshot generator, that one, that was filed by the Vonk team. Also, I asked Georgie to first create a unit test to prove that it's an API thing, and if we have something, then it can be solved. I think it's already been lots of research in the Vonk team as well, but we found out that the generate snapshot for external profiles didn't work for snapshot generation. And the problem was also a bit that Michel was not here in the office last week. So because I want to have a discussion with him as well about this thing, because I think that he can point out where to look or if it's really wrong. So I'm waiting for him.
It's definitely a difference between 1.3 and 1.4.
Yeah. So
the question is whether it was intended.
Yeah, and that's what I want to verify with Michel. If it's really intended, probably not, because we have a problem with it. Anyway, so that's also covered. Well, not covered, but we have close calls with each other about that. Oh, that is the one where we're talking about Kenneth. That was right.
That's something else.
Is that not?
No. It was about HTTP client factory, the one that was closed.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. What should we do with this? Is it already closed, or because do we have an idea?
Is this about? I think it should be taken into consideration with the refactor that George is doing with the FHIR client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which Brian already stated.
Yeah. True. But I can't give an estimate when it is going to be released because it's far from finished and it's probably going to be 2020, the first few months or something.
Yeah.
And so, well, that's the news I can tell him. So I will tell him that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You can even point to the PR that's being made by Georgie.
Yeah, that's true. This one I talked with Michel about. Something about min-max in extensions in the snapshot generator. He was looking very difficult when we talked about this, so it was very. So it looks very difficult. So and I asked, can he solve it? Of course he can, but it will be be solved after dev days. So I'm not sure I've mentioned that here. Also, Ward also figured something else out, so maybe that's also part of that. But yeah, it's going to be after dev days. I'm only doing the page class. This one, I haven't seen this one. No, nobody has answered that yet. Oh, it's already 26 days old. Funny that I haven't seen this one. I've been trying to build logic for resolving resources in a bundle from resource references. Each type of class. I don't know what this is. Each type of resource.
So I understand what he wants. The point being is that there is no common structure definition behind resources that have identifiers. And that's why there's also no common base class or interface behind it.
Because
he wants to treat all the resource types that have an identifier list in a common way.
Okay.
Because that is a very common pattern across, well, many things. And the only way to do that would be to retrofit an interface. Then we would have to find out which classes support that and which don't. So the code generation for the POCOs should then do that.
Okay. But you said there is no
question is whether we want to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, the only way is to investigate all the generated POCO classes or the structure definitions to see whether they have a property called identifier that is actually a list of identifier.
Yeah.
And if they have, you could put an interface on it. What this one implements has identifier.
Yeah. Okay.
Question next is, do we want to do that?
Yeah. I don't know. If I was the developer myself, then I would extend that for my purpose. So you extend the POCO class, for example, for myself.
In a clone, you mean?
No, yeah, not in a clone, or because you're writing your software and using the API, so you can also have kind of a wrapper class around the API classes in your own project, and just use those extensions. And if they are really very generic, then maybe we can still fit it in our system. Yeah.
Yeah. So do we ask for a PR? Do we say we're not going to do this anytime soon? I think it's in the spirit of the specification that we don't do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm also thinking. Because otherwise we already had it.
The fact that they have identifiers doesn't mean they mean the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of not doing it.
But the reporter, chap, can of course be free to make a pull request.
Of course.
Let's show us how we would like it done.
That he can do that, yeah. So I can respond to that in this manner, and if he wants to have it, then he can contribute it, and so we can have a discussion in this team to put it or not. So, yeah, okay.
So everything above foundation from the resource list implements identifier.
Sorry.
Everything above foundation. So you have the categories in the resource list in the specification. So you have foundation, base, clinical, and so on.
Yeah.
Anything above foundation seems to implement identifier. Is that correct?
Oh.
Above
So,
foundation. I don't see what you mean by foundation.
If you go to the spec and then you look at the resource list.
Oh, there.
So I guess
This resource list, right?
So you have the foundation category, and then everything that comes below has identifier, as far as I can see.
Where do you see foundation?
This is here. This one. This is what you mean.
Oh, there, left of it. Yeah. Well, capability statement does not have it. Oh, everything further on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because
I'm not 100% sure myself, but
no, patient has it. That's for sure. I know
yeah.
that.
So okay. Mm-hmm.
But whether allergy substance has an identifier, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, and in code, this is just kind of a category, right? Foundation and base, and it's not reflected in code. So we can't say that capability statement is in foundation because it's never it's never in the code stated that it's a foundation structure. So we can use that information.
I see that bundle has identifier, but it's 0 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, but okay,
that should be so. If you want to have this kind of thing, you should use kind of a reflection or something, right? Just to check if the property is in that resource. Am I right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that might be expensive, but
yeah, that's what I'm
a way
talking.
to do that.
Yeah. And I think you have also.
From a quick view, identifier is in many resource types. So I do see the point probably, but
yeah, I'm also
not
thinking
sure whether it would be.
Does it not have every POCO class also a kind of list of properties? I'm sure it. I just thought about now in my head that we have something like that. Then you can also use that list. Then it's not really so expensive anymore.
There's a kind of reflection cache.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Where was it again? It's not here.
I think there's something with class mapping and property mapping, isn't it?
So something like that, yeah. So every class has a list, and I thought it was children or something. I'm not really sure. And of course, my PC is really slow now. I don't know why. And now I have the list. Named children, is that not the one? There's a property. It's a list of named children, and I thought that was a list of the properties that a resource can have. So you could use that property very easily with an extension method to see it have an identifier or not. With the link expression, you be very quick with it. So I have a quick look into that. I gave it maybe a snippet to him, and then he can make a pull request out of it, something like that.
All right.
Yeah. So maybe
cool.
we can do that. Yeah. By the way, you're not seeing my Visual Studio, right? Or do you?
No, I'm seeing your browser.
Yeah, see, it's only that it's not the screen, but it's the browser that I'm sharing. Okay. I will respond to this one as well. Well, validator, I can be quick with that. I have to find out. I'm scanning the whole validation errors that we got back from the community and also from our customers like like Fonk or like Simplifier. I'm checking them if they're really bugs, because lots of times they are not, because there are some problems with the structure definition, not well defined, and I'm investigating those kind of things. Then I have two issues that I already talked about in the beginning of this call, namely the technical corrections. Those are those things that have to be done.
Yep.
So they are already assigned. Then what is this? Validator support FHIR version and canonical URL. Filed in by a colleague of ours, by Ardon. And what was it again? Yeah, this is about programming version. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
The validation is really very strict. Gives an error and he wants to have a warning about it, I think, if I'm well understood.
Well, or even better, be able to find that value set. But
oh, this one, yeah. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives an error if the FHIR version is used in the canonical URL to FHIR core resources.
Okay. So that would be an enhancement of the FHIR validator, right?
Yeah, or of the resource resolver. So it can actually handle that version.
Okay.
I think that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Also, that is
not sure whether the core resources actually have a version.
Okay.
Let's see, especially the R3 ones. Let's see. I can look one up. I have something. I'll check it in the meantime. You can continue with the next one.
Yeah, also a validation one on the date time. We had a discussion, quite long discussion together with George and I about this one. Yeah, this one is already. Yeah. And there is now a pull request for that. Yeah, okay. Actually, this should be, yeah, it's already undone. Why are we having this discussion here? I don't know. But Ewout, just before he went on his sabbatical, he just said to me, there is something in the try-parse of the universal type, the system types that we have now. He made them for the FHIR engine. And he said that this new try-parse function is a bit less strict than the FHIR validation on date time. It's too loose defined. And he said add specific FHIR validation for that. So that was in the back of my mind because he told me about this. And then George, you went into the code, me as well. And actually the conclusion was that he already fixed that, I think, before he went on his sabbatical, because I asked Georgie to create a unit test to prove that it's still correct, and it is correct. So I think that's enough proof, and I will close this issue, and if Ewout thinks otherwise, then he can do that when he's coming back in February. Because I had the feeling that he already solved it, but I couldn't find it in the code anymore. But well, if you have to look at it to a functional point of view, it works. So that is enough for me. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think we already at the point because the last response, the FHIR client last response, we already talked about that last time. So I think there are no new issues because there will be on top of the list. And we already discussed those kind of issues that we are now going into. So I have nothing more to add on that. Maybe somebody else have some input that you want to discuss?
I have an update on the versioned canonical URL.
Mm-hmm.
There are value sets that have a version, and there are value sets that don't.
Okay. So that was...
As I can check on R4, everything has a version, but on R3 it doesn't.
Okay. And and that would mean?
Well, that would mean that logic might be a bit more difficult, because if there is a version canonical URL and you find a value set that does not have a version at all, is that a match or isn't it?
Yeah. Is it an error or not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if it has a one, then we can be clear about that, right?
Yeah. The simple solution would be to, if there is a version in the canonical that you're looking for, and you find a value set that has that same version, it's a match.
It's a match. Yeah.
If you don't find if you specify a version but there is no resource that has that same version, there is no match. Then you would have to search for one that hasn't. Then again, if you have multiples with a different version and you don't specify a version, which one do you get?
Yeah.
So there are some difficulties to.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, maybe you can put it back also with Arden. Tell him talk about what he thinks about that. Yeah, because he filed the issue. Kenneth, do you have something more to add?
Nothing to add.
On your plate, what you have? Yeah, okay.
I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, for me, it's just every time if a new issue coming in, I will have a quick look at it and I'll label it what I think it needs. Sometimes it needs some more resource, or sometimes it's just a support question. So I will keeping up with the issues. Also with Georgie, I'm having a discussion on a daily basis almost to have to resolving the issues. And big things like I don't have an answer to it that I would like to discuss in these kind of meetings. The next one will be over in 2 weeks again on this hour, and that would be then after Dev Days, right? Yeah, yes, directly after Dev Days, by the way. Interesting.
Not sure I'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe also the others not. Well, we'll see each other next week as well in person. So if there's something coming out from that, I can also make a kind of a minutes of that and put it here on the side.
Yeah.
But for now, I'd like to thank you to be here on the call. Would love to see you next week. Would be fun, I hope. And I wish you a nice week. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you
very much, Marco.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.